Picture a sunny Saturday afternoon in Denver, Colorado. You're laying down a picnic blanket on the rolling green lawns of Cheesman Park, an 80-acre urban oasis right near Capitol Hill. The space is a masterpiece of municipal planning. A white marble pavilion offers sweeping views of the city skyline and the Rocky Mountains. In a densely populated environment, large green spaces like this operate as critical public health infrastructure. They give millions of residents a place to jog, practice yoga, and find peace of mind. But the people throwing frisbees and walking their dogs are completely unaware of what lies a few feet beneath the grass. They are recreating directly on top of roughly 3,000 unmarked human graves. These are the remains of early Denver residents, left in the ground by a documented municipal decision back in 1893. This isn't ancient history. It's the direct result of an American municipal cover-up. The tranquil surface of Cheesman Park highlights a jarring physical reality. This landscape was engineered specifically to hide a catastrophic civic failure. In the 1880s, Denver was experiencing explosive population growth. It was a booming, rapidly expanding settlement struggling to keep up with its own success. Decades earlier, the city had established Mount Prospect Cemetery on the outskirts of town. By the late 19th century, the expanding residential grid had completely swallowed it. The massive site fell into severe disrepair and transformed into a genuine public health hazard. Scavenging animals roamed among open graves, and residents harbored very real fears of cholera and tuberculosis spreading into nearby neighborhoods. The municipal government faced an impending crisis, but lacked the financial resources and robust public health infrastructure to solve it carefully. They viewed the cemetery not as a solemn duty, but as a nuisance to be cleared away as cheaply as possible. Denver's rapid expansion turned its foundational cemetery into a liability. This forced the city to choose between its ethical duty to the deceased and the immediate logistical needs of a growing population. In 1893, the city attempted a highly practical solution. They issued a standard civic contract to a local undertaker named E.P. McGovern to relocate the bodies to other cemeteries. This visual breakdown of the municipal contract shows a typical piece rate agreement. The city agreed to pay McGovern a fixed rate of $1.90 for every single body he successfully relocated. To maximize his payout, McGovern quickly realized child-sized coffins were cheaper to buy and easier to transport. So he systematically dismembered adult bodies, hacking off limbs to stuff the parts into multiple smaller boxes, billing the city 3 or 4 times for a single person. A local newspaper eventually broke the story, detailing the horrific mutilation operation to the public. The outrage was immediate, and the city promptly canceled McGovern's contract. Facing a partially excavated site filled with desecrated remains, the city performed a cynical triage. Wealthy families paid private contractors to move their loved ones. The marginalized, the impoverished, and the forgotten were simply abandoned in the dirt. To execute the cover-up, workers removed the remaining headstones and leveled the ground. They brought in massive loads of topsoil, planted trees, and officially rebranded the site as a public park. By prioritizing political optics and budget constraints over properly finishing the relocation, the city cemented a legacy of profound class disparity. They literally paved over their poorest citizens to sweep a massive scandal out of the public eye. The city didn't optimize the landscape. They merely built a thin, fragile ceiling over a mass grave. And the ground eventually shifts. During routine maintenance in 2010, workers digging an irrigation trench near the central pavilion hit bone. They unearthed 4 fully intact human skeletons, just a few feet under the heavily trafficked dog walking paths. Today, Denver residents are well aware of this dark history, but engagement rarely takes the form of solemn memorialization. Instead, the tragedy is monetized through $25 paranormal ghost tours every October. Taking victims of a 19th century mutilation scandal and turning them into spooky anecdotes for a modern experience economy strips them of their humanity all over again. A culture will often commodify a messy reality rather than respectfully confront it. You could look at Cheesman Park as an example of urban resilience. The city successfully adapted a blighted, dangerous hazard into a vital public asset, providing over a century of physical health and mental serenity to millions of living citizens. Alternatively, the park is a beautiful lie. The cardiovascular benefits enjoyed by a modern jogger do not retroactively justify the horrific desecration and deception buried beneath their feet. The blueprints and maps we rely on to navigate our urban environments only tell a fraction of the story. The literal bedrock of our leisure is woven with tragedy, leaving us to wonder if modern public spaces can ever truly wash away their origins, or if we are all simply picnicking over the unexamined sins of our predecessors.